Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're looking at a truly massive week in the financial technology sector. We're talking about staggering new money, wildly creative consumer gadgets, and massive org chart overhauls hitting the industry basically all at once. Fintech is having an incredibly busy week. And, these seemingly separate events actually tell a cohesive, really fascinating story about where the entire financial world is heading.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap. We're going to break down three distinct pillars: the big money with Ramp, the consumer play with Block, and the global battleground of executive shuffles. Let's get into it.
All right, part one, the big money. We are looking at a pre-IPO powerhouse that is fundamentally reshaping corporate spending and attracting some serious cash. $44 billion. Ramp literally just closed a $750 million Series F funding round, bringing their new valuation to a jaw-dropping $44 billion. To put that massive scale into perspective, this company nearly tripled its worth from $15 billion just 12 months ago. In today's economic climate, that kind of hypergrowth is practically unheard of.
But the crazy thing is, the fundamentals actually back up the massive hype. Based on Bloomberg data, Ramp's run rate revenue jumped from $1 billion last September to $1.5 billion today. They've also hit positive free cash flow. And their customer base, it's surged from 50,000 in November to 70,000 customers today, bringing heavy hitters like Visa, Uber, Shopify, and Anduril onto their platform.
Now, what's really interesting here is the stark contrast. Earlier this year, Ramp's top competitor, Brex, sold to Capital One for $5.15 billion. Ramp just raised money at nearly 9 times that sale price. When your biggest rival sells for $5 billion and you're raising at $44, well, the market is sending a painfully clear message about who is actually winning.
So, what does this all mean? Why is the market paying such a massive premium? It comes down to one absolutely crucial battleground: artificial intelligence. But Ramp isn't just throwing around AI as investor bait. No, they are actively embedding AI agents across expense management, procurement, and accounting. More importantly, they're launching products specifically designed to help companies control the absolute chaos of out-of-control AI token spending.
Let's ground this abstract tech concept with a highly relatable real-world anecdote. Uber actually blew through its entire 2026 AI budget in just 4 months. Think about that for a second. Because of that insane burn rate, they had to cap employee AI spending at $1,500. This perfectly highlights exactly why Ramp's AI spend management tools are practically mandatory for major corporations right now. Companies need to stop the bleeding, and Ramp wants to be the tourniquet.
All right, pivoting to part two, the consumer play. Let's step entirely away from dense corporate software and dive right into the cutting edge of consumer hardware and pop culture.
Enter Block and their flagship product, Cash App. They just launched a wild new piece of hardware, and founder Jack Dorsey announced it on X with typical cryptic brevity. He just wrote, "Pay by magic." It's catchy, and it perfectly sets the stage for a product that completely reimagines how we interact with money at the checkout counter.
The brilliant part of this strategy? It's where the idea actually came from. Block noticed a quirky, organic trend taking over TikTok. Users were literally hiding their tap-to-pay debit cards inside homemade DIY wands just so they could film themselves paying for things in a fun, magical way. Block saw that virality and decided to weaponize it, turning a social media trend into a tangible, manufactured hardware product.
And this brilliantly illustrates what they built. For $25, you get an iridescent, star-tipped wand equipped with NFC-powered tap-to-pay that works at any Visa-compatible terminal. It links directly to your Cash App card, requires no minimum balance, and clips right onto your bag like a keychain. As Block's hardware lead Thomas Templeton pointed out, digital wallets are invisible, and physical cards are buried in your pocket. This wand takes invisible money and makes it highly visible and intensely social.
But make no mistake, guys, this $25 wand isn't just a toy. It's a deliberate Gen Z land grab. If you look at Block's wider strategy, they launched teen accounts back in 2021. And earlier this year, they rolled out a parent-controlled debit card for kids aged 6 to 12. This wand is just the next trap in that ecosystem. It lives natively on TikTok and is expertly designed to build lifelong, sticky payment habits. Okay, moving on to part 3, the global battleground. Let's pull back to the macro picture and examine what happens when 3 of the most ambitious global companies restructure their leadership teams simultaneously.
Let's neatly map out this dense web of corporate musical chairs that literally all happened in under 2 weeks. First, Revolut announced its co-founder and CTO Vladyatsenko is stepping down to take a non-executive board role, and he's being replaced by engineering veteran Donato Lucia. Meanwhile, Nubank is bringing in Rob Livingston, a global payments heavyweight with 18 years at Capital One, as their new global CFO, replacing Guilherme Lago after 5 years. And if that wasn't enough, Adyen disclosed that their CFO, Ethan Tandisky, is exiting the company.
So, looking at all this massive C-suite movement, we really have to ask, why the sudden global shakeup? Why are these three massive global powerhouses changing out their most critical executives at the exact same moment? It's not just a coincidence of timing. Actually, scratch that. It's definitely not a coincidence. There is a thrilling, unifying theory behind all of this.
Let's move on and see how this all builds into one single massive ambition: the race for the U.S. market. Revolut just filed for a U.S. bank charter in March. Nubank received conditional OCC approval in January. Adyen is aggressively grinding for payment volume against entrenched American giants like Pfizer, PayPal, and Stripe. Every one of these international heavyweights is planting their flag on American soil at the exact same time.
As the source material so perfectly puts it, changing who is in the dugout right before the hardest innings of your growth story is a clear signal. These executive swaps are not a coincidence. It's a starting gun. The war for American market share has officially begun, and these companies are making sure they have battle-tested generals leading the charge.
So the crucial point is how all of these seemingly disparate stories actually weave together to show an industry mutating at light speed. Ramp's massive $44 billion valuation shows how desperately the enterprise world wants to rein in AI spending. Block's $25 magic wand is a masterclass in locking in Gen Z consumer habits. And the quiet, synchronized C-suite shuffles at Revolut, Nubank, and Adyen, that proves a global showdown for the U.S. market is imminent.
Which leaves us with one final massive question to chew on. When the dust finally settles on this starting gun, whose business model actually wins the stretch run? Will it be the enterprise AI managers, the consumer hardware innovators, or the global giants fighting for U.S. turf? It's going to be absolutely fascinating to watch this fintech war play out. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes on these trends, and I'll catch you next time.